These are
Wow, look at her go.
I did it. I can't believe it. Welcome, everybody. My name is Avina Del Pizzo. I'm the owner of Built Strong Strength Club in Chatsworth, and I wanted to do something a little different than my normal fitness stuff. I wanted to have constructive conversations with the beautiful people that I know and around holidays that I think are very important, especially ones that are new, right? And my person that is coming on today that I'm interviewing, her name is Jimanekia. She is a phenomenal human being. The way I know her is she started at our gym as a member and was absolutely killing it during the workouts here with your best friend, right?
It's
Why,
true.
why am I forgetting? Why am I blanking out right now? Can you remind me? I
Sarah.
literally, Sarah, I was like, I literally just messaged her not too long ago. Um, but yeah, and I remember her coming in, cussing me out most of the time, mostly
Well, it's because
because
it's crazy. You like to do crazy things.
I mean, crazy things make you strong. So there's
It's
that.
true. It's true.
But I just wanted to give you a great introduction first and foremost. And unfortunately, she's moved far away from me, but I still hold her near and dear to my heart. Her name is Jimanekia Eborn, and I'm going to ask you to give a proper intro of what you do and who you are.
Sure. We'll do a quick one. So, as she said, my name is Jimanekia Eborn. I am a comprehensive sexuality educator. What does that mean? It means that sex starts in the brain. So we talk about feelings and emotions and language because that's super important. I am a trauma specialist. What does that mean? I work with sexual assault survivors, domestic violence, stalking survivors. Stalking has been newer with the individuals that I work with. I teach classes, I do workshops, which are two different things. Um, I hold retreats. I have written things. I'm kind of all over the place. I also co-own an intimacy coordinator training company for film and media. We are one of the very few that is SAG accredited in this country. And yeah, I do a lot of stuff. I have a nonprofit called Tending the Garden for Survivors. I just am outside. I'm outside a little too
Yes.
much.
But all in a good way, because I really do feel that the people you are around, you always leave an impactful moment with them. At least I know that from my experience and in our micro space that you've done. You've always done such a great job at probing phenomenal questions,
Hmm.
talking deeply. Like your conversations that I've had with you in the past have always provided depth and weight with very little how do I say with very little like criticism. It's very much like constructive and there's always conversations that are really good, and that's why I think you'd be a great fit for our conversation today.
I love
um
that.
yeah, and if you have a chance, please look her up. We'll definitely give you her handles as soon as we have an opportunity to, either in the comment section or right after our little
We'll
interview.
make it work.
We'll make it work. I don't know, girl, I'm just
Yeah.
winging it today.
Winging it. It's fine.
So the topic is Juneteenth, and the reason why this topic had come up was because a little history about the reason why I wanted to bring this conversation up is because my daughter's friend is Black, and her dad and family were at my house for Easter, and I was like, you know what? Let's have just an Easter and all the kids. So I had a bunch of neighbor kids, a lot of 2-year-olds, a lot of screaming, a lot
Whew.
of eggs, and it was a
Yay.
lot. And we
That
were
sounds
just
loud.
Girl, it was, and we were just all hanging out, having a good time, snacks and candy and just coins and dollar bills. Just, we hide them all in the eggs. And so I was speaking with the father of her friend, and we were talking about the future holidays that we wanted to celebrate together. One of them was being Juneteenth. And he's like, well, how would you celebrate it? And me, I'm like, well, I just know how to celebrate it in my business, and that is acknowledging other Black creators and other Black businesses. And he mentioned, he's like, but how do you want to celebrate it in your home? And I'm like, why are you asking me? I have no idea,
Hmm.
right? Because I'm not Black. And so I think this was an important conversation because I do believe that having this conversation with people who are educated in this space, that their heritage is in this background, are more, the information is more valuable coming from people like you versus me, because I have no idea.
Sure.
So I the question is now is first and foremost, what is Juneteenth? This is a new holiday.
Mhm.
How do we acknowledge it, and what is the history behind it?
It's so interesting that like Juneteenth is now a thing because white people cared.
Mm,
Like most black people have known about Juneteenth. So, I like to talk in layman's terms. So,
please.
slavery ended, but everyone didn't know. So that is what happened. It took after 2 years of them actually being freed to be finally informed after the Civil War, marking the end for everyone, which is wild. So they were in Texas and they finally got the information like, oh, you've been free for 2 years. Oop, our bad. So like being able to actually go, oh, I'm allowed to exist. I'm allowed to have space. I can own things. So now it's nationally recognized for how long? I don't know. We'll see. It's in and out right now. But it has been recognized to finally establish the finality of the end of slavery and people actually know. And how people can and should be celebrating is having more conversation.
Mm,
As history is being actively erased around us, the best thing we can do is to continue having it in conversation and existence. I've been doing a lot of work around grief. I lost my grandfather 2 years ago. I lost my cousin in January. I lost another person, but grief also can look like death, but it can also look like the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? So
mm.
like being able to have those conversations, who knows what the world could have looked like if this didn't happen? And so the reason I say that is with grief, they always tell you to continue talking about the person, keep them alive, keep them in existence, keep them in spirit. The same thing about Juneteenth. Let's keep these individuals that, didn't know that had 2 extra years of slavery, which granted, slavery is bullshit. And if we're being honest, slavery still exists in this country and actively in other countries to this day, which is the conversation people don't want to have. But see, spicy. That's what you get for bringing me here.
I already knew it. I knew.
But, being able to have the conversations because they're not being taught in school. There are so many Black people that have this background that grew up in Texas. Sure, those people for sure know. And that is thankfully why I grew up knowing because my grandmother was born and raised in Texas, right? It's not a globally known conversation. It is more known in the South for sure. California folks don't necessarily always know. And we should know. And so being able to have these conversations, I think that is truly one of the best things. And I do think it should look like conversations coming from you because people digest it differently. In my retreat, we have classes and whatnot. And my goal is often to have teachers that look like whoever the class is for because we receive information differently. We're able
Mm,
to put our defenses down if someone looks like us and it's like, oh, we're on the same level. Versus if I'm coming in, like, let me tell you about you, you might be like, oh no, she's attacking me, or
mm.
it's aggressive. When tone matters, prosody matters. Fun fact, let's take that word, everyone, let's use it. Prosody matters. The tone, the speed, all of that, and it might appear differently. That is to answer your question in long and short.
That is such a graceful answer because I feel like I may have remembered in passing when I was younger learning about it, but understanding the wholeness behind it
Hmm.
and not realizing it, and then mentioning also that slavery still does exist to this day. I know this because I grew up in an area where agricultural like land
Absolutely, you sure
was very
did.
centric, and I remember my mom being out there in the fields too, working alongside other laborers. So I saw it getting pennies on the dollar, right? And so
Yep.
I saw it firsthand. Um, and so I agree. I totally understand where you're coming from. I wasn't ready to have that conversation just yet, but it is what it is. Um, so then that bridges into my next question, though, because you're saying that, people of your heritage have known about it for years. Is this something that your family or your culture has celebrated or brought up or done something around it? Like how does people celebrate it, or how can people who are
Mm.
not Black, right, figure out a way to acknowledge it, celebrate it, and bring that more to light?
Don't do it how y'all do Cinco de Mayo.
Girl, for real. Why?
I I am
I
for
hate
real.
that.
Like, don't
I
put
know.
on a hat
I
and pour up some cerveza and be like, we're celebrating. No, you're not. You're using that as an excuse to party,
That's right.
right?
I
So
know. I hate it. I hate it.
out the gate. Let's slap people. So it isn't something that necessarily my family has celebrated, but we're also just not like a big celebrating family,
Mm.
right? So I'm not saying that other people that I know haven't celebrated it. Honestly, Black people love food. We love conversation. We love connecting. You will see us have a barbecue that is so much more than just food. That is where storytelling happens. That is where new memories happen. That is where connection happens, right? And so it isn't like, oh, we just have barbecue, but food for us is also like it feeds your soul. Like that is nutritious in the sense of who put it together, who made it, like what was the recipe? Did that get passed down? Like there's so much more than just, oh, we came and sat down and had some potato salad. Like there's conversation that goes into it and how other people can have these conversations and whatnot. Google is free. I don't know if y'all heard. Google is free. It's been free the whole time, but use it now because we don't know how long it's going to be free. Do your own research. It's the same way I tell people to support sexual assault survivors. Do research. Having your own information and learning what you want to know, right? Also seeking out the questions you have, I think is so important when we're learning things. Because you can just read something and be like, that's cool. But is it answering your inquisitiveness? Is that what's going to bring you in? And then having conversations about it. Again, I think it's so important to have conversation and get other people's thoughts and other people's opinions while these kind of things are happening because that is how information, works. The exchange, again, that connection. You can be building connection with someone else. You are building connection with your child's friends' parents, with that conversation. That led you to go do more research. That led you to have conversations. That is how things change and evolve. If we stay so stuck in ourselves and only know one way, like, oh, well, I don't know about Juneteenth and continue on my day. No, you chose to go, well, let me find out some more. Let me ask some questions. Let me talk to people. It's working, right? Like that is how things expand. Now you have those conversations in your home. Now your child will have that forethought later on. They will go and have conversations. It's all about, it has to start somewhere in building relationships and connections.
I feel like that has been lost in translation, especially over the last 5 years since COVID, because I don't know if it's because people are scared to talk or people are scared of confrontation, but I hear you, and I've always been a very inquisitive person, and I feel like I can continue to do my part as just a human being existing with other human beings on this planet,
Mm,
right? And so I love that. And this has been so gracious. I also have kind of the segue on your conversation about what that means in terms like having barbecues and having community driven connection where you're sitting down and breaking bread, sharing a meal.
yeah.
I miss that. I miss that when I was younger. I miss the
Mm,
connection of sitting down with multiple people in your house, friends and so forth, talking and shooting the breeze. And and I think that also stems from the loss of tradition,
mm,
right? You're losing a lot of friendships, culture, tradition, things that we could be doing differently, more positively in our life with each other, because there's a lot of
mm.
influence there too, I feel like, and I really think I
Sure.
I appreciate that. Well, my last and final question, I could talk about this all day, by the way. My last and final question is, how do you want to see your community continue to define and make their health a priority? I know health was a big thing for you. This is kind of off camera. I know health was a big
Mhm.
thing for you the last couple of years. If you don't mind elaborating on maybe even your experience, since this is a very fitness driven
Yeah.
space as well.
I think that people look at health as just like, do you look buff? Do you look strong? I think it's really important to have conversations about our bodies because historically, Black and brown people don't be going to the doctor. So let's keep it a buck. They don't
No, I still don't like
until it's,
doctors.
see, look at you. I'm like, when's my next appointment? Thank you. Um, and I think staying aware of what's happening in your body, I think is so important, right? Like there's a lot of us that just go, go, go because we've been making it. We are so stressed. Our shoulders are, "Ooh, are you buff? No, that's stress." Like we are holding on and pushing forward because that's all that we know. We are hustlers. Black and brown, we hustle. Okay. You're not gonna see me out here like, oh, I probably got like five, six
Same.
jobs. I can't remember all of them. Right. And so also being mindful of what you're putting in your body, right? And I don't mean just food. What kind of words are we putting into our bodies? What are we
Mm,
ingesting? What are we visually watching, right? Like how are we affecting our emotions? And it also, everything that I do, it's around safety. So how are we safely taking care of ourselves internally and externally? I think that's really important. Staying up on our doctor's appointments and moving our bodies. I am a stretcher. I will stretch all day, every day, because I also know my body is changing. I am not the same person I was 5 years ago. She's 38 now. She's got to stretch. We got to do things because we got aches and pains. And so being able to be honest and go to our doctor's appointments and take our vitamins. People talk about, I'll end it with this. People talk about self-care so much. I talk about self-care and self-soothing, and let me tell you the difference real quick. Self-care is the
mm,
things that we need to do. Going to the gym, eating, doing our vitamins. If you're on medication, taking your vitamins, stretching, having community, having resources. But also, we need the opposite of that. We need self-soothing to add a little distraction, but also there can be crossovers. Going to the gym can also be self-care and self-soothing.
mm.
Going on a walk can be self-care and self-soothing, right? Reading a book, watching your favorite show. There needs to be balance. And so if we are getting so lost in just the self-soothing, it becomes self-sabotage.
Mm.
So being able to find that balance and being honest that all these things don't have to be expensive. Like everyone's like, "Did you go to the spa?" I love a spa, but it doesn't always have to be the spa. I was telling before we started, I had a self-care day. I took a bath. I had some roses for my birthday. I put them in there. Like I moved very intentionally, and I want to invite all of us to move a little more intentional and drink water and listen to your body. When it says, "Oh, that hurts," investigate it. Be inquisitive about yourself.
That's bringing so much self-awareness to yourself instead of the world around you.
Hmm.
Emulates exactly what you do and how you help people. Can you tell people where they can find you on all
Yes.
your socials, all of them?
Yes.
Email, drop it
Well,
all.
luckily for you, I am Jimanekia everywhere. Jimanekia, and there's only one. And the website is traumaqueen.love. Yes, it is .love. And if you're looking for a space, if you're a survivor, or you know a survivor, or you're looking for information, tendingthegarden.love. Again, we love love here and directness. So those are the main things. And if you've always or ever thought about becoming an intimacy coordinator, want to know what the hell that is, Cintima.co, Cintima.co. We have a special right now for Pride Month. So come check us out.
So great. Thank you so much, Jimanekia, for being my lovely guest on, I don't know what this is going to be, but I'm hoping it's going to be something and that people get a lot out of it. So thank you so much for being here.
You did good. You nailed it,
Thank,
kid.
thank you.